Hi everyone, I am Suhas Mohan, your tax mentor at Being ACCA, and in this video, we will be discussing about the syllabus changes that have taken place in the Tax UK examination from the June 2025 attempt. Because from the June 2025 attempt, the previous year's financial act, that is the FA 2024 Act, will come into play. And because of that, there are some changes. There are not major changes, but there are some minor changes that have taken place. And we will be discussing about those because these tips will be useful for the students who have actually appeared for the exam in March 2025, but unfortunately couldn't clear their exam and are reappearing for the exam in the September 25 attempt. So let's get started. So in order to identify those changes, it is better to go to Google or your search engine and type in ACCA Tax UK syllabus changes, and then do not believe or any information that comes up here because that might not be factually accurate. So it's always better to go up to the ACCA Global's website, and here you'll have it, the Tax UK syllabus and learning outcomes. And if you go here, you'll get the downloadable document that is the syllabus and study guide, which I have it open with me. So this is what you open. And in this, if you go to the 19th page, it will have all the parts that are the additions, what are the amendments that are made, and what are the deletions that are made. So let's get quickly started on discussing about the additions that are made. So the first thing in the additions, if you can see in the NIC part, added to the excluded topics is class 2 NIC. So guys, be very clear, for individuals and corporation tax, class 2 NIC will not be tested as a part of your examination, so you do not have to spend time on this aspect. Okay, coming to the next one, in the corporation tax, you have something called as enhanced allowances for companies. So in the previous year, that is the FA 2023, you had something known as super deduction on your main pool assets, that is of 130% for the assets that are acquired between April 1st, 2021 till 31st March 2023. But that is no more available for you. That is no more available, and that will not be examinable. That is, that super deduction of 130% will not be examinable on any assets that have been purchased during that period. So you do not have to consider that, but instead you will be considering the first year allowances, that is the 100% and the 50% that are available. 100% on the main pool assets and 50% on the special rate assets, the special pool assets. These are what you'll be considering, but the 130% super deduction on the acquisition of assets will not be considered. But here I want to make it very clear, though 130% will not be considered on the acquisition of assets, on the disposal of assets, of the assets that were purchased during this period, that is 1st April 2021 to 31st March 2023, it will still be it will or it might still be examinable. So have some understanding about that. So these are the additions. Now coming to the amendments part of it, in the income from self-employment, earlier we had to refer to both cash basis and the accrual base. Earlier we had only cash basis, but here in income from self-employment we'll be looking out for cash basis, which is by default, and the accrual basis, which is by election. So these are the two things that will still be considered, and not just cash basis but also basis will come into play. Now coming over here, in the excluded topics to refer to, that we have for the pensions, that is mainly related to pension contributions. Now the income over 360, if the adjusted income is over 360,000, then the pension contribution is, the annual allowance is limited to 10,000. So this is an amendment that is brought into place. All right, so over here you can see that the tapering of annual allowance down to a minimum of 10,000 is examinable. So you will have to remember this point very much, because that is the most important aspect. That tapering, that is, the tapering will happen on the adjusted income of over 360,000. So that adjusted income over 360,000, we will be discussing all of those in the crash course that we are introducing also, and all these topics, all the exemptions, all additions, amendments, and all of these will be tested or will be included as a part of your test series that you will be registering for, that you guys will register for. All right. Now coming to inheritance tax as a whole earlier had only the word as spouse for the exemptions to be claimed and all. But now in order to add further clarity because of the inclusion and inclusivity and all of those that are coming in for the LGBTQ communities, we have something that is known as civil partners. Civil partner is a legally binding partner now, and they might not be called as spouse, but if you see the word civil partner, it means the exemptions are applicable to those people, and it does not mean lovers. It means civil partners is completely different from lovers, and you guys have to be very mindful of those topics and mindful of those differences because those become a part of testing part of it. All right, now let's move on to the deletions area. In deletions in the income from self-employment, you will not be asked to explain and compute the assessable profits using cash basis for small businesses. So you will not be asked to do the computation or calculate the assessable profits using cash basis for small businesses. So you need not have to focus or pay much attention to this aspect of it, even if it is included in your study materials. And the next part, the part that is deleted, is the compute the assessable profits on commencement and cessation of the business. So earlier they were asking you to calculate the assessable profits on commencement and on cessation, but that will no longer be examinable and you need not have to stress on that. And this is again a theory concept of it, that is recognize the factors that will influence the choice of accounting date. This is again a theoretical concept and this will not be tested. So you do not have to pay much attention towards this theory aspect of it. Again, as I've mentioned earlier, the class 2 has been completely removed for employed and self-employed persons. So you need not have to prepare anything that is related to the class 2 NIC contributions. Next, again, as I've mentioned earlier, you will not be tested on the apportionment in order to determine the amount of main pool super deduction. The super deduction of 130% on main pool assets will not be tested as a part of your acquisition of assets, but it might still be tested as a part of your disposals. So for the better clarity of it, I will show you guys this so you'll have a better understanding of this. See, corporation tax over here. Yes, if you can see here, for disposal of assets on which the main pool super deduction on any special rate pool incurred were claimed, this will no longer be tested about the 130% one. All right, it has been mentioned for disposal of assets on which the main pool super deduction of 130%. So for disposal, it will still be examinable, but for acquisitions, it will not be tested. So I hope you guys are very clear, and that with that, we come to the end of all the modifications that have happened from the FA23 to the FA24. And guys, please remember this in all the test series that we prepare at Being ACCA, these modifications are taken into account and the test series have been set in accordingly. So you guys will have a great benefit if you enroll for these test series because you will be able to identify the differences if you have actually set for the March 25 attempt and are actually reappearing for the exam in the September attempt. You will be able to identify these changes in the exam in the questioning pattern of our exams. And also these changes will again be discussed in detail in the crash course that we are starting for the first time in this session. So hope to meet you guys soon in those test series and the crash course. Bye guys. Have a great time. Have a great preparation time and all the best for your September 2025 exam. Bye all.